So the first thing we want to do is make sure you've got the right version of Unity, and make sure it's just for now it's the same version that I'm using, so that we know if we have any issues that is something to do with the code and not Unity itself. So if you go to Google and you just search Unity download version 2018.2.2 F1, and you can see at the top of my Unity that I have open now, I've got that version. You go to the download archive and you just make sure you're at Unity 2018, and you should see 2018.2.2 there, and you can download it for Windows or Mac. Now I mainly work on Mac, so if things look a little bit different, that's the reason why. Of any shortcuts that I talk about, then it might be a little bit different, but there's nothing to worry about. They're pretty much identical. So you can download it on whichever one you have. I downloaded it on Mac, I installed it. Again, you'll have to do install the Android and the Java SDK. And once you've done that, I'd like to show you something. So you have your Unity project. So I just created a new project now, an empty project. So you don't have to follow along with me now. I just wanted to show you something. So we need ARFoundation, right? So as I mentioned before, ARFoundation allows us to make AR Core and AR Kit apps and games. So Unity has introduced something really new, and it's really cool. So if you go to Window, you can't quite see it just above, but it's just above here in your screen. You'll see Window and Package Manager. It allows you to import packages now to your project. So now you can hit all, and then you could import ARFoundation, AR Core, and AR Kit. Then you can download these into your project if you wanted to do that from scratch. Now I'm showing you how to do that from scratch. That's one way of adding ARFoundation into your project. And the good thing about this is AR, since it's built into Unity now, you can always, if you've already got it installed, you can hit upgrade. There'll be a little upgrade button here, and you can also pick the version that you want to download as well. So that's the first way of getting ARFoundation into your app, and that again will allow you to create AR Core and AR Kit apps. The second way to get AR Core and ARFoundation into your app, and just to clarify as well, you have to get ARFoundation, AR Core plugin, and the AR Kit plugin if you want to build for both. If you just want to build for AR Core, just get the AR Core plugin. If you just want to build for AR Kit, then just get the AR Kit plugin. So anyway, this is the first way to do it. This works great. The second one, this is the one that I actually prefer, funny enough, is to go to this address. So github.com. I'll leave it in the description for this video. Unity-technologies /ARFoundation-samples. So I'm going to be using this. So what I do is I download this project, and this is something that you might want to do every time you start a new foundation, a new augmented reality project, is download that now, and then you'd open that project and use that. And that's quite handy because it also changes some other settings that we need, some build settings and like the player settings. Like it sets stuff like multi-threaded rendering off. I think it also sets it to an AR or an iOS project. At the moment, it's when you start a new Unity project, it's not set to either of those. But it just sets these things like the target API and stuff, and it's a lot more useful. And best of all, when you download it from this address, is it also has some additional things in there. So here you can see they've got a plane scene, a feathered plane scene. So we'll look at some of that stuff as well on the course, just to see what it comes with. So this is all useful stuff. Now, the later version of ARFoundation of taping this course is Preview 17. So that's the one that I've attached to this project, and that's the one I want you to download. So if you download it from the course, from the Udemy course next to this video, rather than downloading it from here, then you'll have the right one. So once you have that, the one from the Udemy course, then you would want to open that project up. So I'm going to do File and Open, and then I'm going to click Open here because I want to open that project. And then I've got ARFoundation here that I've downloaded, and this is going to be the same one that you have. Then you want to click open on that one, so the one that you downloaded on this course. That's attached to this course, and that's attached to this particular slide. Once you have that, you might get this because we're using a newer version of Unity than the version that the ARFoundation was built in, which is why I don't want us to go too far ahead as well in Unity versions, because if we do, it might break backwards compatibility. So then hit continue. There's always something funny that can happen if you upgrade too much. Now, as ARFoundation and as Unity progresses, you will want to get the latest Unity one and the latest ARFoundation one. But there's no way of knowing how stable it is really until you get a hiccup and then you realize, oh no, it's not that stable. So I know that this one's quite stable because I've been using it, so that's the reason I'm getting you guys to use it. So once you've downloaded that and you've opened that up, if you also have the window package manager open again by going to window and package manager, you'll notice that ARFoundation is now, it doesn't say install, it says remove and up to date, and that's hashed out for me in this case because it's the latest version. When you view this course, it might not be, but you don't want to upgrade. You want to leave it as preview 17, XR plugin will be 18, AR kit will be 13, since that's the one that you've downloaded. So now you have ARFoundation in Unity. And what does that mean exactly? It looks like a pretty plain scene. Well, as I mentioned before, when you download it from this site, it comes with built-in some really good, useful scenes, and that's what we're going to look at now. We're going to build off of those scenes. So if I go to assets, now you'll see we've got materials here folder that wasn't there before in a normal scene. We've got prefab folder, we've got scenes one, we've got scripts, shaders, and textures. And I'm going to just take in the scenes one, and I'm going to immediately put in the sample scene. I'm going to remove this scene, untitled scene. And you'll notice when I've loaded this in the game camera is black. So what you want to do is you want to click on AR session, go down to AR camera, change the clear flags to skybox, and now you can see what the camera view sees. That's a lot more clearer. I think that's a lot more helpful and what we want to do. I think that's a bit of a bug that they'll probably remove in future ones. So I'm just going to save that. So now we've got a good position to work with our app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Build Settings, and I'm going to now also change this. I'm going to make sure in Scenes in Build, sample scene is in the build setting, and I'm going to go to Android because that's what I'm using. You could go do iOS, but I'm going to go to the Android one first, and I'm going to hit Switch Platform, and I'm going to wait for that to finish. So let's finish building for Android now. If I click on Player Settings, it opens up the Player Settings tab. And in that, if I go to other settings, you can scroll down, and if you want to, you can change your package name to something else. If you ever end up building off of this again, you don't really want it to be Unity.ARFoundation. You want it to be your own package name. Anyway, so we're going to build now from this. So I'm going to click on Build and Run. You should know how to build to your phone, but if you do have issues, let me know, and I can maybe create a video on how to do that. So let's click Build and Run, and I will show you what this looks like on my phone. So it's asked me where I'd like to build the app because it's the first time doing it. So I'm just going to create a new folder called Builds, and inside that folder I'm going to create the app called ARFoundation. So hit save, and then it should build it, and I'll show you what that looks like. So scanning the floor, and it's created a plane, almost. Sometimes it can lose tracking, so you might have to scan at different angles as well. It just helps it figure out where things are. Now, if I press on this plane that we can see here, it places a cube, and you can tap in different places. It moves that cube in that location, and I can drag my finger, and it kind of follows my thumb as well if it keeps tracking. Now, augmented reality isn't perfect, so tracking does get lost, and that's perfectly normal. But yeah, there you go. It's worked, and that's just based off of running that basic scene. So this is your first AR augmented reality app, and within a few minutes. So what I'm also going to do is build this for the iOS. So I've just clicked iOS now, and I've pressed switch platform. So I'm waiting for that to switch it to iOS now, so I can also show you that it works on that as well. And then I'll show you once it's finished switching, I'll build and run it and show you what it looks like there too. Oh, it just finished. So I'll hit build and run for iOS. And again, I'm going to do go to builds and also hit ARFoundation, but I'll remove the .apk because it's not APK since it's for iOS. I think it's a .app file. Make sure it's in the build one, and then just hit save. And now I will, once it's finished doing it, show you what it looks like on an iPhone 10. So I went to build it for my Apple phone, and it looks like I got this error, failed to create provisioning profile, and it says that the app ID com.unity.arfoundation.samples cannot be registered, so I need to change that. So I'm going to go back to my Unity project. I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Build Settings, and I'm going to go to Player Settings, and I'm going to go down to the bundle identifier here, and I'm going to change this now to something else. I'm going to change this to my name, and then I'm just going to call it AR Foundation. And now I'm going to try and build and run again and see if that works. This time I'm going to replace everything because I want to remove the previous information. Ordinarily, if you're happy with everything, you can just hit append. Okay, so that fixed that error that I had before. So now it's saying signing for Unity iPhone requires a development team. I'm just going to select my one here, my personal team one. And now that should remove that error. There you go. And now I'm going to try to build for iPhone again, and I'll let you know what that looks like on the device. All right, so look, here we go. This is it working on ARKit as well, and you'll notice that the tracking is a little bit different. It's square, but that's perfectly normal. That's how it looks with on ARKit devices. But you know, you'll also when we look at the code in a bit, you'll see that there's no references to ARKit. It doesn't say anything like, you know, do the plane differently. It just does that automatically. We don't have to worry about that, which is amazing. So now that I've shown you the build on both devices, why don't we actually look at the code?